Welcome, Dental Nachos crew. I have one question for you. Will investing in real estate help you retire earlier? Will it allow you to hang up the handpiece on your own terms? I'm here with my awesome friends and Nacho supporters and sponsors from Custom Capital, Jason and Patrick. I ask everybody whether they've been on Nacho TV 150 times or their first time, just orient our audience as to what you do in your daily lives to help dentists. We'll jump into some questions soon. But Jason and Patrick, I'll let you guys go. Just orient who you guys are and what you guys do in your daily lives to help dentists. So glad to have you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say it's great to see you again. I saw you in November at your event. And I wanted to just take this opportunity, Paul, to say, I got a chance to go to the Dental Nachos compound in downtown Philly. I got to meet all of your team, got to see the culture. And I just want to say that what you're doing for the community with the amount of giving and the amount of value that you're creating, I was really impressed with the culture and what you're doing here. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, it's 5 p.m. on a cold Wednesday in Philadelphia. And here you are. That asked us to be on to help create some value for your audience.
I really appreciate that, Jason. Thanks I'm glad we're recording so I can watch that over and over again. And you were awesome here. Also, I want to share before we go to Patrick, I know what did you think of the food in Philly? Sampan, where you had the thing. What did you think of the eating experience?
I'll tell you what, I was really impressed with Philly. I lived in New York City as I told you for 12 years, a lot of great restaurants. I was so impressed with downtown Philly with all of the walking restaurants. I loved Sampan. The food was fantastic. And I told my wife when I got back home, I'm like, we have to go visit Philly for a weekend.
Well, you're coming back in April. It's great. I mean, it's an embarrassment of eating riches. The chefs all over the world, the world-class chefs. I know you guys are in an amazing place there in Brazil, but it's just, we put our food up against anyone. So thanks so much for sharing that. Patrick, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself to the group. We'll go back to Jason to get his role, but tell us, what do you do in your daily lives to help dentists do better?
Yeah, as I say that, as we've gotten to know you, the other thing I would say, you made it very clear it wasn't about money ever with you. And so you really have a connection with helping people. And I've probably heard about it. We can deal with it now or talk about it later, but, kind of curious how you decided to do this.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm glad to talk about it. I mean, prior to Dental Nachos, I was running events in Philadelphia. My dad was a dentist. He had a partner. It really bothered me that dentists didn't like each other. Dental schools like the Dental Student Hunger Games. They make us compete over nonsense. I have a 4-year-old. Imagine having 4-year-olds compete over how many M&Ms they could eat or count. Dental school does this weird thing to us. So I said, after dental school, we should get along better. My motto is no one likes the dentist, so we might as well like each other, right? And I wanted the dentists to kind of come out of their caves and be together. I did these events in Philly, and when I started Dental Nachos online, my awesome wife helped me with the name. I thought, would it be cool? Like, nachos are meant to be shared amongst friends. They do get a little messy. There's a comedian that has a very good joke how you would fight your grandmother for the last nacho chip. That's true sometimes, right? On the plate. And we don't learn enough about business. We don't learn enough about communication, but most of all, we don't learn enough about how connecting with each other can transform our lives. And I have a lot of business friends like you guys, and I see in your worlds, there's just a lot more collaboration, communication amongst professionals. And I never knew it would grow to this, but I'm proud that it has. And I appreciate you asking me about that story. But, I truly love nachos. Elvez in Philadelphia is one of my favorite places. So you got to make a reservation there. But thanks so much, Patrick, for asking.
Yeah. So it's like, gone through several exits, built and scaled a number of companies. And I've noticed that whether you're an entrepreneur or a dentist, it can be very lonely. Yeah. You're doing this stuff, you're accumulating income, wealth, etc. But the lifestyle pivot doesn't happen until you can kind of get away from the chair a little bit.
Yeah. So
what we do is we help dentists, outsource all of the frustrations and bankers saying yes and credit committee saying no and et cetera, et cetera. And we're a turnkey commercial real estate firm.
I love that. I mean, one of the things, I always think the story is the star in life, right? No matter what it is. I appreciate you saying, to me, I always say, if it doesn't help, it doesn't matter, but then be proud to share and sell help. I say this to my dental team. I love dental implants. I believe they help people true and smile with confidence. I've helped people, so it helps. And then I'm proud to share and sell it to my patients. Proud to share, hey, you get implants to snap in your teeth, Janice, my patients, you're going to be glad you did it. You're going to wish you did it earlier. And I see what you guys do is similar. Maybe Jason, you can kind of share, before we get into some of the numerics and the parts of real estate investing, what are these other things your dental clients get to do when they don't have to work as much? Start another business, spend more time with their family, preserve their physical health. I mean, I know you get to know your people. What are some things that your clients get to do when they're not having to do as much clinical work each week?
Thanks for asking. When we help dentists invest in commercial real estate, and we do everything for them, and we can help get them out of the chair earlier, they now have the passive income to do the things they want to do. And what we're really seeing is a lot of them are working either less in their business because they don't have to, and then with their spare time, we see them traveling around the world. We see them, that some of them are building their wealth to get even more wealth. They're buying more commercial real estate. They're taking care of their loved ones a little bit better with some materialistic things, and they get to spend a lot more time with the people they really want to spend time with. That's mostly their family and friends.
I love that. Great.
What I was going to say is I've noticed that as I've interacted with them, especially on the entrepreneurial level, we've done a lot to make the business and the brand institutional, regulatory, et cetera. And so when I talk to people, they're like, hey, how do I apply that to my practice? And so we actually end up doing a lot of impromptu coaching, like entrepreneurial coaching. It's not something
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's things that are fundamental to every business. And I think I'm starting off with this just to catch everybody up who's coming into Zoom and Facebook Live. Please feel free to ask questions. I'm talking with Jason and Patrick, founders of Custom Capital, amazing key resource and sponsor, helping dentists in the dental community figure out how they can invest in commercial real estate to do other things that they love to do. We're going to dig into these details, but I always like to start with the impact of the story. Many times when you do something, dentists will say to the Janice patient, this is how an implant works. We put it in the bone. But what I say is, Janice, when you go to your granddaughter's recital and everyone goes to the after party and eats chicken parm sandwiches, do you want to eat chicken parm sandwiches? She says, yes. Well, implants are going to help you do that. And I kind of did the same thing with you guys here, brought out the dentist watching it now, the dentist watching it on demand. They want to unlock the opportunity to do something else. It could be charity work. It could be their physical self. It could be just as much as they like dentistry, they don't want to do it till they're 67 years old. And I really appreciate that. Now I kind of want to shift and let's tell the people watching about some of the details. My favorite movie is Philadelphia. Denzel Washington says, explain it to me like I'm a 4-year-old. I've had a chance to talk to you, but if someone says, what does Custom Capital do? Give me some of these details in a way that anyone could understand.
Sure. So what keeps a lot of people from investing in commercial real estate is usually 3 things. It is the time to find the assets, the knowledge of, is it the right asset and how do I do it? And also the capital.
Gotcha.
And at Custom Capital Strategies, we now have a team of about 24, and we help find turnkey cash producing commercial real estate investments. And we do everything A to Z. We find it for you. We help lower the entry barrier to get in and give capital to help get in. We do all the due diligence. We get you financed. We make sure there's a management team on there for you. And we turn over a cash producing business in commercial real estate that appreciates, builds your wealth, and has cash flow month 1.
Can I say it from a different perspective?
Sure. Appreciate that, Jason. I'd like to hear your take on it too, Patrick.
Yeah. So it's like, I looked at the account and I said, I didn't realize that building made $400,000 this year. And I can tell you, I didn't look at a single operating statement. Now I have a team of 20 on top of the property manager. So it's even easier, but I've been surprised, over the years at how little you actually have to do. The alternative is you go to a syndication And I've done that, but there is a 30% rake. And a lot of people are familiar with not paying taxes and selling their properties and rolling them over. And it's much harder to do, you know, having been a former CPA for 30 years. So the tax side is a little bit better, just to own the whole thing.
I appreciate that. Let me just kind of drill in, pun intended, to some of these details to bring out for our audience. And these are authentic questions I might have. Let's start with this. What is the fundamental difference between commercial and residential real estate? I think some people think, I'm going to invest in real estate and I'm worried about a broken toilet, right? I'm worried about somebody calling me on Saturday when I'm at my child's basketball game. So maybe even if it's incredibly simplistic to you two, could you share with our audience the difference between commercial and residential real estate investing?
You want to take it or?
Go ahead.
Okay. Scale and the ability to simplify as you build out. So you'd have to buy X number of houses, or you buy a warehouse, a retail plaza into this, and you're kind of done, you know? So it's far simpler. If I was going to say it in the simplest way possible, obviously you've got asset classes, you've got hospitality, office, retail, multifamily, et cetera. But that's the primary difference, is just scale and how many things you have to juggle.
Gotcha.
I would also add, you know, to get a lot of wealth with having a second home, you need very many, like Patrick said, and that could be 10 or 20 toilets to fix, 10 or 20 HVACs, on and on and on. And having commercial real estate where there's a $5 million asset that you're in full control of, that is going to appreciate faster. It has cash flow, positive cash flow. And it is managed, so you're not really doing any, you're not really having to do any of the work. And that's one of the things, Paul, that I'd like to really point out, is that when we help dentists, they don't really have to do anything. We'll find the asset, it's managed, it's cash producing, and they're collecting checks at the end of the day. And really, it's commercial real estate done for you in a box.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love it. I feel like I want to share something. I'm so happy so many people are watching it on Zoom, but I offer them to come learn about teeth and they do not show up on Zoom, but we're getting more and more people to show up. So this attention, a question from our audience, and sometimes we're just easier to reinforce things. Great question. Hi, everyone. Thanks for organizing this. I was wondering why someone would invest in real estate, which is high risk and requires active management, such as dealing with tenants, rather than investing in the plain old stock market like a safe ETF that is relatively broad across the market. Thanks for answering. So I think this is a common question I hear, one I've had. So maybe why would someone invest in commercial real estate through Custom Capital versus a plain old stock-ish type of investment?
Yeah, I mean, real estate is tangible, so you can walk up and touch it. So at the end of the day, whatever happens to the monetary system, Bitcoin, et cetera, it's always going to have value, because we can't have Amazon replace how we live and do business. And so I think that's probably one of the bigger.
I think also, you know, if you go back, whether 30 years or 100 years, you're going to see that real estate has always increased in value on
long enough hold periods.
Yeah. And the stock market, quite frankly, there are so many influences out there that raise the stock, that pull the stock, and the smaller guy has no real control of that. He's invested his money because somebody gives him some good advice. So when you have a tangible asset that is guaranteed cash producing, long leases are in place. We know the money coming in. Management is already in place and taken out of the expenses. We have all of this down for you. We know what the building is going to produce, with the leases, with the management already in place, with a little appreciation every year. This is pretty spelled out. Whereas stocks, you've got no control. It's up, it's down, and there's a lot of other people influencing that market.
Yeah, I will say this: if you look at stock charts over 20-year holds, which might be a reasonable period of time for an investor, they don't go from bottom left to upper right. It's only in recent history that that's happened. So it can go down, it can go sideways. The one thing, you know, you don't want to borrow 2-to-1 in margin money to go long in stock, but a bank will give you 4 units of capital for every dollar of capital you put up. So they'll finance your tax deductions and they'll finance your portfolio, and your tenants pay what I call the carry. So they pay the rent for you to hold it. Now, when you work with Custom, you get a little more help from Custom, but that's a huge difference right there.
And I want to share, just so I can bring this out, and you guys can correct me if I say anything that you're not actively managing any of your investments from the tenant perspective with Custom Capital. Is that accurate?
Correct. We recommend everybody use professional management. And if you trying to think of what a dental equivalent would be. So let's say a cleaning pick, you can go buy one at a local drugstore, but if you want the one that you guys use, it's far more expensive and it's far higher quality.
Yeah.
So as you'd imagine, people don't work part-time in the commercial real estate space like they might in the residential. So you get a higher caliber of property management team, of broker, of et cetera. So all the way down the chain. And it's just like, say, going to Home Depot and buying a pressure washer. The commercial one is far more expensive than the other one, but it's going to last a lot longer. And so it's kind of like that commercial.
So no one's really calling you to fix the broken toilet. You've also shared at some of the stability of real estate investments long term. I will share, and you work with my friend Roshan, who's coming to the event that you're sponsoring, and he shares so much value about his journey through this. I want to share, just in my experience of being on these Facebook groups, the dentists that have invested in real estate and paid attention to it seem to be the happiest of all, from the Roshan's crew. And I think it's because our world is so labor intensive and basically doing full contact arts and crafts on people. That's what dentistry is, full contact arts and crafts on people that don't want to be there. When they have this other opportunity to create passive-ish income, not only do they, I think, like the money part of it, but they just feel positive and good about what they're doing, in creating these deals. And that's what I want to get to next, because I think I know some people I didn't understand when I first met you. You talked about lowering the barrier to entry to being involved with this. So let's deal with it. So if someone said, hey, Paul, here's $400,000, and then the next 2 minutes, you have to do something with it. So I can put it into a Schwab index fund. I could buy cryptocurrency, or I could say, hey, I'm going to take this $400,000 and invest it with Custom Capital. And people watching will say, I'll never have $400,000, but I say the dental journey, it's kind of nuts, guys. It goes from $500,000 in debt to sometimes making $500,000 in 3 years. Then you go from no savings to sometimes dentists have saved $1 million in 6 years. So this is not a judgment, it's just an observation. Some dentists have accumulated savings. So if I have this, Jason Patrick, and I say, I am going to participate in the next Custom Capital opportunity, why do I get a lower barrier to entry? Because, I wouldn't be able to do as much with this $400,000 on my own. I don't know if I put that question to you right, but
yeah,
catch my drift. Yeah.
So how we lower the barrier to entry is typically on any deal, commercial deal, you'll need a minimum of 20% down. So if you had $400,000, the largest that you could purchase would be $2 million. Okay. What Custom Capital does, if somebody has $400,000 and for instance, that's all they have, the way that we lower the entry barrier is we can find that same $2 million. We'll negotiate it. We'll do all the due diligence. We'll make sure everything is right. There's no problems with the building. But we also loan and invest with the investor. And so we might put in $150,000 in the deal, and the investor would only need $250,000 to get that same property. Now, there's no tricks. The investor would still own 100% of the property, get 100% of the tax benefits. We just loan capital at a very low interest rate. So they can put in less capital and still own the same thing. And still have 100% of ownership. They don't need to borrow it from us. But if you only have $400,000 left, you might not want to spend all $400,000. If you could put in $250,000 and own the $2 million asset versus $400,000, which one would you rather do? First of all,
Yeah, you get an opportunity to get a better investment with the help of Custom Capital. Not only the expertise, but it sounds like, as I'm following along here, the funding aspect of it as well.
There's one more thing though before Patrick jumps in, because I know he wants to chime in on this. with that, one of the other things that is very unique, Paul, is that asset that we're talking about, this imaginary 2 million. Now, if I put 400,000 in and it returns $40,000, that's what's that, 10% of my money?
Mhm.
But if I put 250,000 in and it returns 40,000, well, now my return is much higher. I put in less money and gotten more money. So not only can investors keep that money in their pocket, they can invest in their practice. They're putting less down and they're getting higher returns than them doing it themselves and putting 20% down and doing everything on their own.
Awesome. Patrick, before you jump in, I want to share just people I love, yes, dentists talk about teeth. They don't say anything. Real estate, someone said, for the question that when you invest in real estate, less risk than the stock market, higher returns, leverage, and significant tax savings. So they were echoing your comment there. Patrick, I'm glad for you to kind of share. Someone gives me $400,000. I have 2 minutes to do something with it. I say, hey, Custom Capital, you guys, I want to participate in the next opportunity with you guys. You could take it from there.
Yeah, I would say you either get on ChatGPT and really quickly and try to suck out 120 seconds of data to make a decision. Or if you just think of a lever, like the teeter totter, you need capital, okay, to lift that purchase off the ground, but you also need experience, need education. We have past and current CPAs, investment bankers, mortgage brokers, real estate brokers, commercial bankers, et cetera. And so they get to leverage all of that and do it faster. So that's, I guess, like using a visual, it would be like a teeter totter.
Yeah, and you're participating with people who've been there before. I mean, it's just like, it's just kind of a good thing in life to participate in something when you're new with people who've been there before. You're going to place a lot of implants. Are you surrounded by people who've been there before? Are you going to, run a big CE event like I do? Leverage our expertise. And sometimes expertise is just learning some things that have gone sideways for you. I want to just kind of catch people up. We're talking with awesome resources and sponsors, Custom Capital. My team can share in both the Facebook Live and the Zoom chat how people can learn how to work with you. We'll get to that as we move along here, but I just appreciate you guys sharing the lower barrier to entry thing. People can ask questions in the chat and in the Q&A. This is really a awesome conversation. Next thing I'd like to ask is, we kind of did some details, but when we've talked before, whether it's in Philadelphia, Jason, you've told me some stories. I don't know what in dentistry HIPAA's like. I can't just say that, hey, Jason, you did 3 crowns with me. You're not my patient, so I'm not violating HIPAA. So I'm not allowed to say that legally to people. So I don't know what real estate HIPAA's like. So you don't have to use anyone's name, but whether it's a couple that's come to you with savings that were dentists or professionals, whether it's someone who's now done a second deal with you. My patients say to me, I trust you, Paul, but show me some people who've done this. And I say, here's a video of somebody who now has implants, right?
Yeah.
Or tell them a story. So tell us some success stories of your clients and kind of who they were and the process they went through.
Oh, but before you answer, how many do you think last year were dentists?
I think last year, probably, first of all, about 90% of our investors were dentists. I'll say that.
You hang around dentists, we're the coolest people out there. That's what they say, right? I don't know who says it. My grandmother says it, but
I'll tell you, I probably the first person that comes to mind, one of the first people that come to mind, you've already mentioned him, Roshan.
Yeah.
Roshan Kaura, for those who may or may not know, has a Facebook page where he teaches dentists how to invest in real estate and all of the benefits. And Roshan has so much empathy, and he's such a giver with the information. He's teaching people dentists how to invest in real estate. Well, Roshan last year purchased his first commercial real estate deal with us. And he was so thrilled with the results. He's posted it all over his Facebook. He shared his deal. He shared the exact numbers. He's sharing the profits. He asked us to become a sponsor. He has a real estate event where he teaches live dentists that come from all over the country. And they teaches them how to invest in real estate. He asked us to be a sponsor. He gets up on stage and gives us the warmest welcome, and basically he just gave us all the credibility to the team, to the dentist out there. I bought this. it's doing this. These are the numbers. They made it easy. I mean, he's getting on a platform in front of other dentists and he's teaching dentists how to do it. I don't think you could have a better
Yeah, I mean,
recommendation.
it's also like, I mean, I was saying this, Contra was a video game that they had the cheat code to Contra to get to the end, but these are legal cheat codes. I mean, what Roshan does is amazing. He's saying, I've learned this. You should explore this too. I'm a big JFO just find out thing. The reason why I do this, of course, you guys are supporting the group, which I love and are sponsoring, but it's because when we create this content, both live and on demand, there's someone out there we can help and say, oh man, my wife and I have saved this money. We don't know what to do with it. We'd like to get into real estate investing. And maybe Patrick, you can share a story too, but also I feel like you'll be able to do one of these. People sometimes do this the wrong way, right, Patrick? Or you've seen people get hurt in doing this. Maybe you could share, the scary part of if you don't have the right people on your side, whether that's losing your entire investment, losing time, messing up your credit, what happens when you don't do this the right way?
Well, if you think about it, for starters, most practitioners don't understand the value of their time. They can express it normally in income terms, but they don't think about the value of their practice. But then their free time is even more valuable.
Right.
So they're risking that to start with, and they could be focusing on their own business. But I'll just give you one example, and then I'll talk about the quality control that we use. But in 2013, there's new rules that now say that there's an environmental hazard if there's vapor intrusion. Vapor intrusion, 2 words, big deal, right? And so we constantly are looking over everything. I would say we have 300-ish checkpoints. And we're just in the process of implementing quality control follow-up checklists. Everybody on the team from all the functional areas will respond to make sure that everything was followed. And then we follow up with the client, and they're going to assert that, yes, everything that you said was followed was followed.
I mean, that stuff is so key because we've seen this throughout the past few years, especially the pandemic, when there's many rules and regulations that affect your business. It's hard enough when you know what you're doing inside of this business. If you're just kind of pretending to be a weekend warrior of any type of business, whether it's you guys saying we're going to own a dental practice and OSHA is easy to do, right? And I'll say it's not that easy to do. I mean, I know OSHA affects you guys as well, but it's such a key point to most of the people I find happiest in life are find the right people to hire to do the stuff that they can't do. I mean, you made a good example of that, Patrick, with the commercial management company versus maybe, the weekend warriors of management. I'm just using that as an example. So I think, as we kind of continue to deepen this understanding of what we're doing, we've talked about what investing in real estate as a broad picture allows you to do other than be in your chair. And maybe it's go on mission trips, maybe it's go on vacations, maybe it's just rest. You've kind of dug into the details. Let's now just talk about if someone just was tuned in and they said, I want to do this. I want to find out more. I'm ready to explore this. What does this exploration process look like? And this be as detailed. Do people jump on a Zoom call with you? Do you ask them for their tax returns? Do they have to pay anything? As we develop our relationship, some of these are truly curious for me, but I think I have a sense of what goes on. But tell us, my team will share your landing page in our Zoom chat and on Facebook Live. Someone says, we want to get together with Custom Capital. What does this look like in a detailed way?
Sure. Realistically, they would schedule a time that's convenient for them. We would either myself or an associate would get on a Zoom call. We like to look people in the eye, ideally, if they're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And we find out what their desires are, what they're trying to achieve, what kind of capital liquidity they have, so we can know what they would qualify for out in the market. They don't have to give us anything. And then we tell them exactly what we do, how we do it, fully transparent. And then if they want to take it to the next step, we will start to show them deals that we actually have under contract. They are ours. And we will show them some opportunities that they could potentially get involved in if they want to move forward.
I like that. Patrick, anything you want to add to that process?
Yeah, I mean, you can't say you're white glove turnkey and you give all this special attention. and then email blast out the deals that you're working on.
Yeah.
So each deal is individually underwritten, and then there's 3 levels of approval. And then it's individually discussed with the person, their attorney, if they need to. And so we go through all the questions, we make them bank ready. So being bank ready means don't hide anything, disclose everything, but let us help the bank understand that you're not just a practitioner. One of the things people struggle with is banks saying, you don't have any experience.
Right.
So you get your first one, then you get your second one, then your CV as an investor starts to bend towards investor, and it just kind of gets easier as you go. So we also mentor, I'm a non-statutory board advisor in a bank. So we mentor people how to talk bank language.
I think that's so key. I mean, just kind of continuing going back to these things of finding the right people at the right time for the right, we talk in dentistry treatment plans. And one of the things I like to share as values, what I do is, in my office, I talk to people who need a lot of dental work done. And maybe it's a not yet for them. Maybe it's not a no, it's a not yet. Maybe it's an emotional thing. Maybe it's a financial thing. But I feel very good that they spent time with me to learn about what dental implants can do for a variety of reasons. Some of them do come back a year later and do it. Some of them tell a friend about it. And I mean, I say this in the most poignant and meaningful way to my audience. Being a dentist long-term is a lot of physical work. Things happen to you and happen to people in our community where you can't do it out of your control, whether it's disability, it could be so many different things. So I actually believe it's incredibly dangerous / irresponsible of many of these professional schools to take so much money from people. Sure. Not only do they not tell them how to run their own business, they also don't have some holistic talks about how to manage your life. And that's where burnout happens, depression happens.
Yes.
Financial problems. So I really appreciate you guys kind of bring to life. I think what you said, Patrick, is, you wind up having entrepreneurial sharing with your clients, it sounds like, and maybe learning from each other. It sounds like, you know some dental talk now. You said dental pick and things. You've been hanging out with dentists enough,
Yeah.
and then they learn from you. And I mean, it's kind of what life's supposed to be about, is working with people who can be in your corner. And then authentic, like you said, Jason, this is what this looks like. This is how I said to patients, this is the investment into chewing better. And without judgment, does that fit into your life right now? Many times it does, and many times it doesn't. And we still part ways, as friends, but they learn something. So I think that's what you guys are also doing. And probably you don't know this, but maybe people go and start to do real estate investment mutual funds, and maybe they start to pay more attention to mutual funds. And I don't know, maybe has this ever happened that someone's come back a couple of years later and said, thanks guys, you helped me. Now I finally saved the money. I don't know, does anything like that happen to you guys?
I would say this, first and foremost, invest in something.
Yeah.
Invest in your education, invest in your practice, invest in the stock market, invest in real estate mutual funds, like do something, because that is the first decision that makes the biggest impact. Now, I was talking with a dentist the other day, and he said, yeah, I'm going to scale and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I said, why? He's like, well, because, then I'll do this and do that. And I'm like, well, cool. What happens after that? Well, then this. And we just kept going. And he's like, you want to know personally why I want to do this? It's like,
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
I'd like to jump in there, Paul, because when I'm talking to the potential investors that wind up becoming investors, some not, as you said, when we find out what they want to do, what they really like to do, we can show them the path. We can show them that with all the hard work that they are doing, we can show them a path, and they can leverage our expertise and our company to get into the real estate game and build their wealth, while they can still just focus on building their practice and let us handle everything. That's one of the benefits we offer.
I love that. And I kind of use what I'll actually share, learn this with parent too. I'm going to give my Zoom people a 5-minute warning to wrap up. If you have any questions, we'll get them in. I want you guys to leave us with parting thoughts, but every single dentist will understand this when I say this. We all have patients that come to us and say this magic phrase: you were right, I should have done it sooner. You were right, Dr. Paul, I should have valued myself sooner. You were right, I wish I did this sooner. I sometimes take one from one operatory when someone's in another chair, if they let me with HIPAA, and say, tell them what to say to this person. It says, Dr. Paul's right. You should do implants sooner. They're really valuable. It was something in me. So do you guys also see this even in your successful clients and they say, I wish I crossed paths with you sooner? Do things like that happen?
All the time. And what often happens is, as Pat said, if they haven't made a decision that they want to invest in something, even if it's not with us, we like all asset classes. We support, residential, commercial, multifamily. They're all great. We're bullish on commercial. But if they've made the decision to invest, we'll show them beautiful investments, turnkey. But what can happen is they say, well, I want to wait for the interest rates to go down.
Right.
I want to wait for the market to go down. And they try to time it right and they can't do it. And they wind up staying out of the game. And they never do it. And then 3 years later, they come back and said, I should have done it. And the biggest way to lose money in commercial real estate is by not investing. And that's what we see happen over and over and over. They're like, I should have done. They wait too long and they don't do anything, and they stay working on the practice, for instance, or their profession, and they never actually make the jump.
I love this. Maybe think of something, and this is kind of a strong feeling I have. It doesn't mean you're innocent, but it bothers me when people go, I don't like that they hand out participation medals and trophies, because my daughter got a participation medal for soccer, and at the right time it's meaningful, and she wore it and she was proud of it, and her team didn't win the championship, but it showed that she participated in soccer. And I think that's freaking awesome, right? And yes, you don't give a participation trophy to college basketball. I totally get it, right? But participating in these things, you get this trophy of capturing time, right? Because you cannot go back and capture this time. And I think that should aware and scare investors. And I really love what you said there. What I'd like to ask you guys both is, if you had a parting message for our audience, or there's something I didn't get to, and you're just looking at us and saying, hey, you're watching Dental Nachos live or on demand, talking with Custom Capital, or some key resources and sponsors, you can text Custom to 215-543-6454 to learn how to work with their team. You can reach out to us at dentalnachos.com. But for both of you guys, if I missed anything or you just want to reinforce something, I'll start with you, Patrick. What's your message for our audience?
Well, I know you like to keep it short and tight. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. If every 5 years you double your money, take whatever number you are comfortable with, doing whatever it is, you can retire really well. And then you can say to yourself, where along there, maybe I don't want to give up dentistry, but maybe I only want to deal with my favorite patients.
Before you go, I would say it's dentistry is dosage dependent. So I have a lot of entrepreneurial intensity with these companies I have now. But when I go to my dental office 1 or 2 days a week, I sort of say, why is everybody complaining? It's not so bad. They go, shut up. You're only here,
Right.
2 days. So dentistry, a lot of things in life, parenting, right? Why do these grandparents say, kids are wonderful? Yeah, used to manage these kids 7 days a week. So the dentistry can be very rewarding when you can control the dosage. And I think it's a great quote. And controlling the dosage of dentistry is good. Jason, I'll go to you for your parting thoughts.
I would just say this: if there's any audience members out there that are maybe looking for a way to invest or to increase their wealth, we're here to help. And I will promise that there's nobody out there doing what we are doing right now, and we can help them build a path. And we do it with full integrity and with full transparency. The best recommendations are referrals. Roshan Kaura, Dr. Reed, they either come back, they refer people to us. Why? We give great investments, we give great service, we keep our word, full integrity. So if there's members out there that want to learn a little bit more, I would encourage them to book a call and let us share with you how we can potentially help them. And that's probably the best thing I'd like to leave with.
Yeah, I love that. And the great part too is you're great people to deal with from, I know through Roshan, dentists aren't easy customers. So when they like working with you and they say you should feel good about that. And I mean, I just think treatment planning your future to make decisions on your terms is really just something that helps with morale and money. And you guys are helping people with that. So I really appreciate you guys sharing. You can reach out to dentalnachos.com to learn about anything we do, including Custom Capital. You guys stick around for a minute, but Lindsay could take us off Facebook Live. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.